Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. Well, if you watch my videos, you know in last week's video, I was preparing for a prescribed burn. And I won't go into it a lot, just to give you a little bit of background. We used to have horses, and I would manage our pasture here, which we've got a large pasture. We've got 20 acres in a big open area. And I would try to manage it both for horse grazing and for wildlife and native wildflowers. When we moved here, I noticed there were a lot of wildflowers that were already growing here. I didn't plant them. They just have always been here. We had a lot of milkweed, we had bergamot, we had slender mountain mint, we had one called gentian, and a lot of asters that were growing. And so what I've tried to do over the years when we had horses is to bush hog around the wildflowers, try to cut the plants I didn't want, and expose the grass and let it grow there. And where I had wildflowers, just leave them. And that's kind of had varying results. My neighbors accused me of drunken bush hogging because that's what I do. I'd meander through the field and try to get the woody plants. Well, we got out of the horse business after my last daughter left, and we've been out of horses now for probably 8 months. And we're going to manage this property completely for wildlife and pollinators, and try to raise some warm season grasses, mainly wildflowers. And the way you rejuvenate them is with a prescribed burn. And there are burn associations around, and I joined one and got certified, and we did the burn yesterday. In the background here, you can kind of see this charred ground. It was burned yesterday. And I'm going to tell you just a little bit today and show you some footage of the burn about kind of what to expect if you want to do your burn. First off, let's talk about the preparation. If you do a burn, you really need to do a burn plan. And to do a burn plan, you've got to be educated in the techniques of burning and the weather conditions that need to be in place so your fire doesn't get out of hand. I went through all of that. Bob, the president of the Springfield Plateau Prescribed Burn Association, has been trained in how to write a burn plan. And a few weeks ago, him and I sat down and we wrote out a burn plan. And the burn plan looks at a lot of different things, like number one, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to raise? How big an area are you going to be in? You need to make a map of the area. You need to talk about what is acceptable when it comes time to burn. What wind speed is acceptable, what humidity is acceptable, what updraft is acceptable, and all the factors that go into that. And so we did that burn plan. And then before you do the burn, the morning of the burn, you need to call your local fire department, let them know you're doing it. And I called the Ozark, Missouri Fire Department. They were real nice. They said, if you need us, call us. But they said, it sounds like you've done your homework. And so they were on standby, I guess. They're always there, but on standby. And then also prior to the burn, you need to let all the neighbors know, because there's a house right there about 70 yards away from me or so, really nice house. And that's Matt, my neighbor, and we get along great. I always try to get along with my neighbors. And there's another house right over here, and that's Jeff. And Jeff and another neighbor who's over there, Wes, both helped me. And so we decided to do the burn. And we also had Jason from the Springfield Plateau Prescribed Burning Association. When you join an association, you help others burn. And I've been to 3 burns now where I helped other people. And then in return, somebody in the association will come out and help you burn. And my wife wants me out of the house anyway, and I enjoy doing that. You really don't do much other than carry around a backpack blower or a flapper to put out a fire if it gets out of hand. But if all the planning has been done, the people that are trying to put out fires don't have much to do. So anyway, it's a group effort. If you can find a PBA or Prescribed Burn Association and you want to do a prescribed burn, join it. You help them, they'll help you. It's a great setup. So anyway, just to kind of show you what happened the day of the fire. First off, you all kind of meet together, and the first thing we did was fill the torches with a mixture of gasoline and diesel. And that's Bob there, who is the president of the Springfield Plateau Prescribed Burn Association. He's been doing this 35 years, and he's my burn mentor. He was filling up the torches. And so you fill those up, and the Burn Association has the torches for you to use, which is nice. And then we headed out to the field. So to kind of give you an idea of what kind of day we had on Friday, we had a wind about 8 to 11 miles an hour from the northwest, which is that way. And we had several days where the wind was going to be from the same direction, which was nice. We didn't expect any surprises there. So what Bob recommended is that we go to the northeast corner of the field and we start burning. And when you're burning, you want a head fire, which is going to come down with the wind and meet the other fire. And then you want to have a burn, they call it a black area, an area where you burn that you keep down at the end of the burn for the other fire to burn too. And then they kind of meet in the middle and cancel each other out. And that's exactly what we did. We started with burning just a little bitty area to see what would happen. And we had 2 guys with torches, and that was Bob and Jason. And then we had 2 guys, my neighbors, Wes and Jeff, with backpack blowers. And then I had a backpack full of water just in case. And if you're ever doing a prescribed burn, don't volunteer for that job, because carrying that water around is awful. It's heavy. My back gave out about 3/4 of the way through it, and I was done. But anyway, we started with a little area with all of us standing around, and we tested it out to see how it would do. And it looked like that was going to go great. So we decided to go ahead and split off into 2 groups. And Wes and Bob went on the top area, and they started lighting the fire. And we had somewhere around 33 to 35% humidity that day. We didn't want any humidity below 30 because it can get a little dicey if you get that low. But everything went really well, especially at the beginning. We started burning and the 2 fires burned together, so we just fanned out. And our black area that we were creating was down at the bottom of the hill, and the head fire was up, that was lit to go with the wind, was up at the top of the hill. And so the head fire did really, really well. It had the advantage of having the wind blow it along. We struggled a little bit in the bottom, and I think that's because the soil's a little bit better down here, and the vegetation was a little bit greener. And also down in the bottom, you know, you have kind of dew that I think we had a higher moisture content in the grass. The burn went well. It was a success, but it was really hard to get the burn going down in the bottom. And there were certain areas, a little grove of sassafras trees, we could not get to burn, and some other little wooded areas. And I thought, because this was down at the bottom, that once we got it lit, it would burn up a hill. Usually a fire will accelerate up a hill if it's going with the wind, because the heat of the fire dries out the ground in front of it, and then it really takes off. But we were going against the wind, and honestly in this bottom we didn't have much wind at all. And so we were struggling to get the fire going, which kind of surprised me a little bit. We had a big rain maybe 2 weeks ago, about somewhere between 4 and 6 inches. We were out of town, so I don't know exactly how much it rained, but that big rain probably inhibited our ability to get the ball rolling down here at the bottom. And Carmen, my wife, took video of all this and probably walked several miles during the day. But this is kind of what it looks like. Now, a couple of things about a prescribed burn. None of the burns I've been to have burned just completely clean, where there's nothing at the end. There's always stalks sticking up. And if you're a little anal like I am and you like a place all slicked off, you really, at the end, you may want to bush hog it. But our plants, the woody plants, were growing. They had leaves coming out and they got singed pretty good. So hopefully it sets them way back. But as soon as it rains, I'm going to come up with a bush hog and knock all that stuff down just so it looks a little prettier before the wildflowers get up. Now, I tried to do that today, the day after the burn, and I had a 30-foot cloud of black soot going up, and the neighbors were nice enough to let me do the burn. I don't want to push it by coating all their cars that are sitting outside with ashes. So I stopped that real quick. But the burn went well. There were areas that burned really, really well. Fire going up the hill was burning really slow and really hot, and that'll really inhibit the woody plants that I don't want. It won't hurt the wildflowers any. The fire coming down the hill was moving a little faster. On the east side, it burned really, really well and really thoroughly. As we got along around to the west and south, it was a little less all-encompassing. There were areas where it didn't burn. I've got cheatgrass here. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a grass that grows in our area. It's a really finely bladed grass. It's really green right now, and it's hard to burn. It's almost a fire prevention grass. But in the end, we had a very successful burn, and this is what it looked like the next day. And this is about what every burn I've been to has looked like. That's what to expect if you do a controlled burn. But I'm really pleased with it. I'm very appreciative to Bob and Jason and Jeff and Wes and Carmen for helping me out. And we'll see what this does. I'm going to do another video along about the probably middle part of June when the wildflowers are growing, and I'll go around and show you what the area looks like and if it rejuvenated the wildflowers or not. Well, I about forgot to mention this. We got a big laugh out of some friends of ours, Beth and Rick, and Beth showed up with a protest sign before the burn, like Greenpeace. And she showed up, and she even had her dog with a protest sign on the dog. And she knows I'm a big Beatles fan. The sign said, "What would John Lennon do? He surely wouldn't start a fire like this." So we got a good laugh out of that. Beth and Rick own some property near here and tried to prescribe burn, and they hired somebody to conduct the burn, and I'm not sure they knew what they were doing. They had a bad experience, and the fire got out, and the conservation department and the fire department were called. That can happen. Trying to get them in the PBA. They're not members right now, but if they were and they saw how it worked and involved some of the rest of us to help them, I think they would have a success. But they burned like 158 acres or something like that and had a bad experience, so that can happen. But if you're in the PBA and you do your homework and you do the burn plan and you get everybody to help you and you have the right equipment, you can do a prescribed burn and be successful. Well, I appreciate you watching my videos. I would be honored if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking the mic face icon, and make sure you check the bell so you get notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website and the Tractor Fun Store with cool things for sale for the tractor owner to help support my channel. And here's another couple of videos you might want to watch, including one with Beth and Rick. It's one of my favorite videos of all time. Thanks for watching.